So they were happy about that. They were not happy with the analysis of fundamentalism. They were not happy, especially with the prophetic elements in the play that says fundamentalism is going to destroy Israel, because they think that fundamentalism will save Israel. It will bring the Messiah now. That's what they want, to bring the Messiah now. And fundamentalism is the way to accelerate the coming of the Messiah. So there was a debate, which was, I think, a good debate. There were certain other parts in the Israeli society that didn't like the play because it gave a chance to express the view, the worldview of the settlers. The radical left in Israel hated the play because suddenly the play recognized the fact that they are human beings and that they have legitimate opinions. Dangerous, but you know, this is freedom of speech. This is what Israel is trying to create, a society where voices are being heard. And the play gave a chance, and I think honest and fair chance for the voices that many Israelis do not like to hear. As for the second question about teaching political playwriting, this is very difficult. I'm sure those of you who are interested in playwriting and follow the works of playwright, they know that a play usually doesn't begin with agenda, with political agenda. A play usually begins with a character, it begins with a plot, it begins with a story, but it doesn't usually begin with a political agenda. So how do you go from a political agenda to a play that has characters, has human beings in it, that has life, complex and moving life in it? And that is I'm not saying that there's a system, there's a method, there's no method for it, but I can try and expose principles. So for example, if you want to create a play with that originates at a political agenda, then the first question you ask yourself, who are the characters that will struggle for that agenda? That is the first step towards finding the beginning of the play. So for example, when I wrote Pangs of the Messiah and I knew that I have an agenda about fundamentalism, about Jewish fundamentalism, I knew that the main character must be somebody, a settler, who is a fundamentalist and is struggling for fundamentalist ideas. So if I explore him, I explore my agenda. And that's how the play evolved. I'm trying to teach method that is basically classical method. I don't think that I'm I'm certainly not, I'm not a postmodern writer. Maybe I'm a modern writer, but I'm not a postmodern writer. But I still believe that the basics of playwriting were actually presented very well by Aristotle in his book, The Poetics, 2,300 years ago, and not much has changed basically since then. I'm writing about characters, I'm writing about relationship, I'm a strong admirer of a plot, I'm a strong admirer of conflict, and I'm a strong admirer of a catharsis. I think that a play without a catharsis is usually not a good play. So I hope I answered the second question.
I am really impressed with your speech and hardly wait to see this play. I asked a Protestant minister one time to tell me the number of times justice is in the Old Testament. And as I read Old Testament Jewish, justice is over and over again. It's fundamental in the Jewish psychic. So how do you reconcile this idea of justice with the treatment of the Palestinians who had absolutely nothing to do with the Holocaust? Nothing. And yet their land has been taken from them, and as Albert Einstein and Muhammad, through terrorist methods. It doesn't seem to reconcile to me. And how can you deal with this with the fundamentalists and approach them through the idea of just justice and thou shalt not steal? And do you know Daniel Barenboim, another great Jewish peace activist who's working through music? I think artists should be running the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much for this difficult question. Yes, justice is a fundamental value for us, the Jews. Hopefully, it should be a fundamental value for the rest of the world. And I think that justice is not just a value, but justice is perhaps the only the only criteria in resolving international conflicts, because international conflicts that are not resolved upon the principle of justice will not last for a long time, because those who feel unjust will continue the struggle. So justice is really an important value in solving political conflicts. Now, if you go back to Israel, the description that you laid here is correct, but it doesn't describe the whole picture. It's very complex, and the idea of justice is difficult because both sides claim justice. Both sides claim justice. I think that it is true that Israel has done huge injustice to the Palestinian society. Huge injustice. We have to acknowledge this injustice. We have to admit what we did. We have to admit it. This is the first step towards reconciliation. If Israel is not going to admit its responsibility for the creation of the Palestinian refugee problem in 1948, if this is not going to happen, if Israel is not going to recognize its responsibility for the creation of the Palestinian refugee problems in 1948, there will not be a true reconciliation between Israel and the Palestinians. So how do you encourage Israelis to think in terms of justice and to appreciate justice as an important value, not only from moral point of view, but also from political point of view? How do you encourage it? Israel is a very pluralistic society, and voices are heard all the time, contradicting voices. Part of them are very fundamentalist, as we see in the play. Part of them are dangerous. Part of them are, we call, fascist. But I do believe that there is a majority in Israel who can hear the word justice and embrace justice and vote according to justice in the future. I do believe that this is possible. And that is why I'm writing. That is why I've been writing all my life, in order to encourage people to explore the world from that perspective, the perspective of justice, trying to prove to them that they will not, that this is the only way to win and to remain and to survive in this land. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Today at the City Club, we have been listening to a special program featuring Israeli playwright Motti Lerner. Thank you, Mr. Lerner. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This program is now adjourned.